Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, it's Kaga. I know this video is the first in a very long time. I think about 2 months, maybe 3 months. Yeah, life got in the way. I'd wanted to do some more regular War Thunder stuff, but you know, stuff happened. Big news in World of Warships, well, it's not really big news anymore, is the Royal Navy light cruisers. Now, when I first looked at these things, and I think a lot of people did that, they sat down and said 152mm guns that only fire semi-armor piercing ammunition. That's interesting. They have better normalization values when they're incident on armor, you say. That's interesting. But wargaming, they're light cruisers. They have no armor. They're made of glass and petrol. So, what could possibly be good about them? Oh, they've got torpedoes, you say? Well, Japanese cruisers got torpedoes. The German cruisers have torpedoes. The Russian cruisers have torpedoes. Okay, we're not quite following you here, right? I think this is one of those, you kind of have to come to terms with them, that there's limitations to these ships that I think a lot of other boats in the game, and yeah, we'll call them boats. I know I'm going to rustle some feathers with that statement. But there are a lot of boats in this game that have a lot of edges in terms of being able to survive mistakes. And I think that's one of the things that I think people have to get used to, is that these ships punish mistakes. And I mean, absolutely ravage the player for making these mistakes, whether it's mistakes of judgment in terms of the situation, mistakes of planning. I guess it's part of the situational awareness, but, you know, situational awareness can kind of go both ways on that subject, whether or not that is, you know, things going wrong, or whether that's just how things develop, or whether it's a lack of understanding of a particular mechanic about the ships or other ships in question. Knowledge of the potential of other ships in comparison to your British light cruisers. That's another one that hurts. And I think you often hear this on the forums, that at least I've seen it on the forums, where people have said the British light cruisers don't really adopt a usable flavor until, you know, the Fiji. Sometimes you hear the Leander also mentioned in the same sentence, depending on who you talk to. But as I was playing this, I actually started seeing that flavor develop with the Deny. And
Enemy destroyer sunk.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I actually ended up quite liking, you know, this, if you listen to the forums, this giant steaming pile of glassy flaming turd that is the Emerald. Oh yeah, by the way, we are in the Emerald, the tier 5 light cruiser that I think some people would say looks, or at least makes the Omaha look very good. And yes, Yubari. I love Yubari citadels. Oh, crap. So, things that make these light cruisers interesting. We're starting with the Emerald. Well, yeah, we mentioned you've got torpedoes, but it's the consumables that really make this ship work. Starting with the Deny, you gain access to the hydroacoustic surge. I'm pretty certain starting with the Weymouth, you get access to the heal, but actually that may be the Caledon. It's been a little while since I played those particular ships, but the Emerald is interesting because I know it's one of those World War One vintage light cruisers. It doesn't really deal well with Tier 5, and I wasn't expecting for that torpedo to hit, but oh well. Power to the torpedo that somehow hits a target I never meant it to. It means more damage for me. I like this. And starting with the Emerald, we gain access to this smoke screen, and this smoke screen is notable. And I know a lot of people sit back and you would not be wrong in saying that armor is a better form of security in World of Warships, but that doesn't mean obscurity can't be. And while the Emerald doesn't gain a lot in terms of firepower or protection or survivability over the Deny, what it does get is that obscurity factor, which I think makes the ship just that much more of an X factor in any given match. And yes, I know the ammunition can have giant-ass hissy fits whenever it meets something it doesn't like, but at the same time, I found that the hard lessons that this particular ship taught me, in terms of how the ammunition performed, how the consumables worked, were well served when I moved up to the Leander. Maybe that's just me, but it's not really like a penance for getting the Leander, but it's more of a place to learn those lessons. And I gotta admit, if I had gone free XP straight to the Leander or the Fiji, the smokescreen mechanics of the British light cruisers, it would punish me. It would have punished me hard. Because, you start off with the Caledon, where you first encounter this single-fire torpedo madness. You get a few other little tips and tricks along the way, and I imagine most people would probably have grown sick and tired of going through it. By that point, they would have free XP'd past it. I decided not to. And I have to admit, I'm really, really, really loving the Leander right now. I was originally intending to record this video on the Friday night, so I think that was like the 8th or something like that, 8th or 9th of December. I'm now recording it a very early Monday morning, and most of it is due to, playing too many games in the Leander. It's just that much of an enjoyable ship for me. And yes, that hurt. That could have gone so much better, and at the same time, it could have gone so much worse. And I think that's one of those, if you're used to driving other cruisers, or if you're like a North Carolina, Iowa, or Montana captain, and now you could be one of the Mighty Mo captains in the game. Used to taking punishment in a way that a lot of other captains would probably be aghast at, and at the same time, you could take this ship and just the amount of abuse you will take in the British light cruisers, if you can't take a joke, you're playing the wrong ships. Honestly, you are. It's just, unfortunately, the way that is. Someone glares at you, you've almost got a citadel. And I think I really wanted to show this particular gameplay because, well, one, I did really well with it. And two, I think you can see some of the different ways you can use the consumables, and that's really the part that really makes these cruisers work, is those consumables. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble too much longer on it. It's a little too early in the morning, and, well, I did promise a video on Google Plus and Facebook, so I'm going to put that up. Also, when I sat down to actually do this particular video, I thought about, lying out a script and whatnot. Unfortunately, that became an essay, and instead I will be posting that onto the North American World of Warships forums at some point in the future, so please take a look or stay tuned for that. The link will be broadcast out on Google+, Facebook. If I publish it in the not too distant future, it will be linked into like the various description box, suggested info tab, more info tab, whatever, that that button up in the upper right hand side of the screen. Anyway, thank you for having bared with me. I hope to get back to doing this more regularly. I've had a few great games, couple in the Leander, some in the Kiev, a few other nice toys to play around with in World of Warships, and no, I do not have a Mighty Mo, so drat, that's a long way off still, so look forward to that. Anyway, thank you, and have a good day.